Guys, what I'm about to say will most definitely disturb your soul. So, if you want to have a pleasant night and sleep sound, please don't listen to this program tonight. Turn and go to another channel and listen to some songs, because it will upset you. It's Monday, a beautiful Monday evening, and I want to say to all of you listening, guys, our Creator, God Almighty, whichever name you want to call him, love the Guyanese people, including Glenn Lall. That I am certain of, Miss Harris, and I know that he loves you too. He knows what will become of this country and its future with these oil contracts signed with these foreigners. And he has been warning us in more ways than you can think of, Uncle. From the very first day Guyana discovered oil, he has been doing that. We have been carrying a number of stories, enlightening and educating you people as to what oil companies did throughout this world. When Joseph Biden decided to raise the 18.75% royalty rates that the USA was receiving from the oil companies in December gone, Ms. Harris, that was a message for all of us, because we only get in 2%. Yep. When Canada 3 weeks ago demanded a 5 to 40% royalty increase from their oil company, yes, that was another eye-opener to Guyana and all of us. When the British government 2 weeks ago slapped on a 25% tax on all the oil companies in England, that was another revelation for the politicians of Guyana and every single Guyanese. Not true, Bernard?
Definitely.
These three superpowers of the world slapping on massive take from on oil companies for their people, Ms. Harris, is a clear message. Is a clear message not only to Guyana and its people, but that's a message come from God Almighty.
To the whole world.
Yes, to the whole world. Our Creator, Ms. Harris, did not stop there. He is the one that inspired me, gave me the wisdom 3 weeks ago to send 2 reporters to a 3-day international oil conference in Trinidad and Tobago. You hear that? In Trinidad and Tobago, while my reporters were there, another revelation came to light about oil royalties. I want you guys to listen carefully to this revelation. Trinidad was pumping oil and gas and collecting royalties for the last 60 years. And when the TNT, citizens think all was bright and beautiful with them and the oil companies, it wasn't so. They found out several generations were taken for a ride. Bluntly put, the oil companies in Trinidad and Tobago were ripping off all Trinidadians, all the royalties. You hear that? The oil companies were giving them royalties with their right hand today, and tomorrow them thief it back with their left hand. And not a single Trinidadians knew that.
Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. It was during that oil conference 3 weeks ago that my reporters found this out, when a trainee said to my reporter, all you better check and see if Guyana is not in the same boat like Trinidad. Before I go further, Uncle and Auntie, let me say this boldly. Guyana is in a boat
Worst boat in
at the tip of the Kaichor Falls with no paddle and no one to help us where these royalties Guyana is collecting concerned. Not a single soul will help us. 56 years later, listen to this, Bernard. 56 years later, having been robbed day after day, night after night, Trinidad and Tobago in 2017, in 24 years ago, were able to plug and stop this cockery the oil companies were doing to that country with their royalty payments. Wow. Only 4 years ago. Every cent they paid to Trinidad, they were thieving it back, unknowing to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You understand? It was only 4 years ago the government decided to sit down and create a new contract which demanded 12.5% royalty and clearly states non-recoverable. Yes, they can't take it back. So it means, Ms. Harris, for 56 years, the oil companies, you hear me, that was paying the people royalty in the right hand, was thieving it back. Every single cent back out of the hand of the Trinidadian people. Guyana contract says nothing if royalties can be recovered. Let me repeat. The contract we have with ExxonMobil and their partners do not stop them from thieving back the royalties they've been giving to Guyana. You hear me, man? Am I clear there? And I think I'm happy. Very simple too, right? Good. When Joe Biden said last week that ExxonMobil made more money than God, Uncle, it wasn't a mistake. It was factual. The only thing he stopped short of saying is how they made the money or that amount of money.
And who they were.
Yes. It was by robbing every oil producing country
In the world.
on earth they were working in. Before I get to what they're doing right here in Guyana with our royalty payments, Uncle, please allow me. Let me give you guys a quick rundown of what ExxonMobil and other oil companies did to them own American people and other countries around the world with royalties. In 2010, that's 12 years ago, a U.S. judge found Exxon and their partners guilty of systematically underreporting the value of gas they were taking out from the wells they were working on. And because of the wrong information, they paid far less royalties to the government.
Isn't that the same scam in Guyana?
And the people who own the land too. It's the government plus the people who own the land they were working on. To settle that matter, Uncle, ExxonMobil agreed to pay $32.2 million in federal fines. What else they paid to the people was not reported. The Kaichor News also found out between 1998 and 2000, the U.S. Justice Department had intervened against 7 oil companies. ExxonMobil was one of them, for knowingly undervaluing the oil extracted from public and private lands, in which they had to pay 170 million American dollars to settle those cases. Are you with me, Ms. Harris? Is the Guyanese people with me?
Let's hope.
I hope so. Here's some more of how decent and honest ExxonMobil is. Yes. This same company, all these good-for-nothing politicians bowing down to like God, as if they're God. In 2003, Uncle, ExxonMobil was ordered by another U.S. court to pay more than 100 million US dollar in back pay royalties. They rob Alabama, a state in the U.S. In 2012, in another state called Kansas, yes, a U.S. judge found that ExxonMobil was falsely deducting expenses, robbing the landowners their rightful share of royalties. And the judge promptly ordered ExxonMobil to settle with the people in the sum of 54 million American dollars. In the state of Alaska, these are different states in Alaska, in America, you know, man. ExxonMobil and two other oil companies were dragged before the court for doing the same thing. The state, this one a little different, the state spent 217 million US dollar in legal fees to get back their rightful revenue. The companies ripped them off. And in the end, Miss Harris, in the end of the court matter, they were awarded 2.7 billion American dollars. Hear what the governor said, man. The governor said 217 million US that they spent on legal fees was worth the while because they get 2.7 billion in return, not million, billion. The whole of Guyana 2022 budget money, yes, Exxon had to give back that one state, uncle, due to crookishness. Yes. Me no want to talk about Guyana, man. I just telling you what's going on. And that is only some of the robberies, the cheating and skullduggery that went on in the United States of America. The other parts of the world, every one of them oil countries were raped. Yes, were raped blindly by the oil companies. In Chad, for example, ExxonMobil and their partners are asking for settlement with that government after they take them to court for over $800 million they were robbed. You hear that, man? Y'all listening to me, uncle and auntie? That was in 2014. Yes. That just when Guyana fine oil, uncle. They didn't say if or how much Exxon settled for, but the government went for 800 million. Nigeria had to go to court for 9.6 billion. Billion, uncle. That nearly 4-year Guyana budget money. That ExxonMobil and others cheated them on royalties and taxes in 2 years alone, from 2009 to 2011. 2 years alone, man. And in 2014, they were able to get back 2 billion out of that 9.6 billion. The rest is still outstanding, auntie. The list of robberies by ExxonMobil and others in different parts of the world will take more than 1,000 programs to tell you people. Just listen what a senior policy advisor at Oxfam America, yes, a company fighting for greater transparency in the oil and mining sector, yes, had to say about oil companies. And I want to quote them. Hear what these people had to say, man. Let me read it. if this is happening in the US, where we have strong legal and regulatory system, which should, in theory, reduce the incentives for this type of behavior, it's very likely to be happening around the world, especially in places with much weaker governance systems.
Weaker? Some they don't have no damn governance.
Man, we have no system whatsoever.
Exactly.
We don't got no weak system.
We have no system.
You understand?
And we don't even have leaders.
With a clown in charge.
We got corrupt.
Uncle
Corrupt.
and auntie, this information that I just give there is at a finger click. Just click your finger on Google and you can have access to everything I said there. Now let's turn to this country, this beautiful country that's called Guyana.
Cash cow.
The cash cow of all the oil companies. Yes. With a profit, with we profit oil and that 2% royalty. That we have a contract signed with the same scampish Exxon, Mobil and the other oil companies. My reporter, the same young lady, Kiana Wilborg, that went to Trinidad, asked the financial guru of Guyana, our vice president, that is heading the oil sector at his press conference last week, Wednesday. Yes. Sir, is the royalties paid by the oil companies to Guyana recoverable? Then 51 minutes after, Uncle, I did a follow-up to that same question she asked. Please listen. Could you play that tape for me? Please listen to both answers our vice president gave. Play it for me there quickly.
Yes. The thing is that the lawyers have to do that. I don't want to venture public positions that I may have to walk back at some point in time, so I should be a bit more cautious on this. Because on other matters, we've had some contention.
Royalties. I heard you talked about the royalty when Kiana asked if it's recoverable. And I didn't hear you very good.
Yeah, but that's why I gave an explanation. I don't want to, I have not looked at this matter carefully, so I don't want to give a venture. That's the last thing I do, venture.
That's the most important thing. That's what
Right.
this country
Right.
depends on.
I'll look at it. I'll give you an answer.
That's the most important thing this country depends on. I went on to ask him. That's it. I'll explain it. That's it. Uncle, you heard the man that is in charge of this oil sector, what he had to say on our royalties payments. This simple yet important answer he should have had at his fingertip, Miss Harris. The answer should be at this man's fingertip. Whether the money Exxon giving Guyana as part of our share, our royalty, he don't know whether they can take it back. Wait, man. Something definitely wrong here, Miss Harris. Miss Bernard? Mr. Bernard?
Definitely.
Huh? A man giving your family 2 mangoes every day with the left hand as you share, and you don't know if the man taking back the 2 mangoes with the right hand the next day? Huh? What else do you don't know in this business, Mr. Jagdeo? Huh? You fit to be sitting anywhere running this nation's affair, man? Eh? This $1 trillion US?
Competence.
Auntie, uncle, he said he has to be advised by his legal team. what legal team has to do with whether a man can take back the profit he gave you as expenses. Huh? When this man was the president of Guyana, uncle, for 12 years he was. 12 years that man was President Bernard. And you hear what this man telling Guyana? He is known to be one of the smartest economists in this region. How come he doesn't know something as simple, straightforward as that, man? Uncle, can somebody answer me that question? A vendor or a sugar cake seller on the streets will know that. If he or she has a business with somebody else, and when they collect the share of profit, the partner can't put it back as expenses the next day. Come on, man. Eh? A donkey who can't speak English will give you a straightforward answer. Yes. Would give you a straightforward answer, maybe in Chinese, to that question, man. Huh? I wonder, with Jagdeo not knowing whether Exxon Mobil taking back the 2% royalty, if he would know anything, whether Exxon is taking back the profits they're giving us to. How can an ex-president tell a nation, after pumping oil and receiving royalties 3 years now, Ms. Harris, that you have to ask your legal team to tell you whether Exxon Mobil taking back the money or not? You are getting a monthly report with all the costs and expenses for the last 3 years. 3 years pumping oil, and you don't know whether the little money you're collecting as royalty, if it's staying with you or the man thieving it out back the next day. What else this man know? Can somebody help me? Huh? Can somebody help me? I'm getting thirsty. My Father's Day food and drink I have worked out already by just trying to fathom, to wrap my head around what's going on in this country, Uncle and Auntie, with your money. And these gangsters we have out there. The Vice President said, I don't want to venture public positions that I may have to walk back on at some point in time, so I will be a bit cautious on this. His words. He said, such issues should not leave to politicians to answer, but rather in a much more capable hands of the nation's tax and legal authorities. You see what you do there, Bernard? Miss Harris, you understand what you do there? He shift, yes. He shift the burden now. Like how we shift the insurance deal to them little children at EPA. Now he's saying, well, the lawyers should tell me this, or GRA. Them kids at GRA should tell me this. Answer this question. And he in charge. You know, this is when you have, I don't want to use the word, but this is not crook. This is beyond crook. You know, this is devious. You know, when you don't want anybody to pin you down, right? When you want to defend and support and don't say a bad word about something, you know, you shift it. All right, well, me not deal with that. You know, well, he promised to get back to us, right? I think the next day, that should have been an answer to the entire Guyanese population. And now, Since last week, Wednesday to now, we haven't heard a statement. He haven't sent out a release. He didn't send a text message. He didn't give a telephone call to tell this nation, hey, what's going on?
Because that's the next state secret.
You just heard, Uncle and Auntie, what ExxonMobil did to its own country, the USA, and several other countries around this world with royalties. And here we have our vice president. Yes. That same man, y'all throwing him all around neck every hour of the day, in charge of our oil, telling us 3 years later that he don't know if Exxon taking back the royalty or not. Me can't hear you, Miss Harris. I can't hear you, man. You saying wow, sometimes I don't have words to describe this.
Me too.
Does he know, Uncle, if Exxon taking back the profits that Guyana is collecting too? Huh? What I know, Miss Harris,
More than that.
what I know, Miss Harris, is that everybody has their own interpretation of what the contract says on the calculation of royalties. The vice president saying he doesn't know. Aubrey Norton, the opposition leader, said them shouldn't take it back, meaning he and all don't know. David Patterson, who used to run the sector under the coalition, said they're not supposed to, meaning he too doesn't know what's going on. Ramjatan, yes, the AFC leader, also doesn't know. And when it comes to the ex-finance minister Winston Jordan, if Exxon can take back the royalty, he says absolutely not. So there you have it, Uncle and Auntie. None of these 5 men, yes, can definitively say whether ExxonMobil is taking back the royalty paid to us or not. Yes, these 5 morons leading this country, your US $1 trillion business, and cannot answer such a straightforward, simple, important question.
Exactly. And such massive wealth.
The Trini, that Trini MP, I played a couple, I think was, I don't know which program on, said, this is the people I stain your finger for? This is the people I vote for? Oh yeah? Oh yeah? I love that Trini man, eh? I love him, Miss Harris. That question, Auntie and Uncle, that simple question, Glenn Lall and the Kaicho News staff, yes, know, and them doesn't know. You hear that? That question, Glenn Lall and the staff of Kaicho News know, and them doesn't know it. I will give you guys the answer on Wednesday that will leave some of you breathless. Or should I tell them tonight? No, I'm not telling y'all tonight. Let me be very clear, Uncle. Nowhere in the ExxonMobil contract is it spelled out that royalties cannot be recovered. You hear that? It's not there.
It's not there.
It's not there.
They can't do it then.
Man, I gotta give them the answer Wednesday. I want you guys to listen. The only way we can know, though, they can know, is through the oil company's expenses. And that is being hidden from us, the people of this country.
Stay secret.
Yes. Those figures is not being released to the public. And honestly, I believe this country should shut down all production and demand that Jagdeo, yes,
Come clean.
Norton and Ramjatan, all of them should come clear, seeing that they doesn't know anything. Release every single expenses so that we, the people of this country, can know what is going on and turn back and advise them. What you say, man?
Our will.
Eh? It's our wealth. We should see, we should know. If them have it and them don't know, well, let us see, and we'll tell the nation. Those same monthly reports, uncle, that is hiding from the nation, yes, they should make it available to all of us. I am going on the road tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to protest at Houston on the east bank of the Demerara. And that is one of the things I will be demanding. I want to see all expenses that Exxon is taking out from our oil out there. I want to see it. I want to see how much billions we are being taken for a ride or we are being robbed on a daily basis. I want anybody and everybody to join me, and let's fight as one people for our livelihood, uncle. It's at stake. When the politicians refuse to be truthful, playing games, making fools of us, hiding stuff, then it is time that we as Guyanese take matters into our own hands so that we can bring about that change. Or you guys can sit down and wait 56 years like the Trinidadians. Yes. To find out ExxonMobil was walking away with everything. You decide which one you want. Come out and protest, or you want lie down and sleep and learn 56 years that you're being treated the same way by ExxonMobil, like how Trinidadians were treated. A friend said to me last night, his national ID card marked Guyanese. It ain't marked PPP, PNC or KFC. It didn't say Indians, Africans or Amerindians. It didn't say Christian, Hindu or Muslims. It didn't say rich or poor, sick or healthy. It says Guyanese. So I am looking forward to seeing every one of you out there as Guyanese with me. 10 a.m. 10 a.m. sharp. And let's begin our fight to ensure that what these oil companies are doing around the world, robbing and raping countries, does not happen here. You heard it loud and clear. Your leaders doesn't know, doesn't have an answer.
Doesn't care.
I will give you guys the answer on Wednesday. Or if you treat me nice. If you treat me nice, I'll give you at the end of the program. Can you imagine for a moment, Bernard, every 6-7 shipload of oil going out, this country then gets one shipload?
After 7.
And on top of that, Guyana paying all the taxes, which is more than the one shipload money I'll get in, man. Eh? What's going on in this land, uncle? That is the contract that we sign on to, that we are living with today. Yes. The same contract that these clowns or morons is saying that is good for Guyana. That same contract that does not spell out clearly if ExxonMobil them are taking back the royalties that we are getting. Eh?
They said in a terrible contract they wouldn't have signed it.
Huh? Uncle and auntie, let me tell you what Exxon contract says when it comes to royalties. Please listen to me carefully. The contract lists a few specific things that Exxon cannot claim back, take back or recover from the oil business. For example, if a Guyana judge fine ExxonMobil 100 million US, they cannot take out that money from the oil business. And royalties is not on that list. You hear that?
They can't take it out.
Royalties is not on that list. This brings or raises the whole ant's nest as to where Guyana is heading with even the 2% royalty. This is a tragedy that doesn't have measurement, uncle. Miss Harris, tragedy is not a word. This wouldn't have enough tears if all the Guyanese were to cry over it. Yes. If the most important thing is not clear in the contract, and your leaders can't say whether they know or know not, then where are we going, man? Huh? Uncle and auntie, that should have been at the top of the list. That should have spelled out clearly at the top that oil companies cannot, should not, and must not take back royalty payments under the cover of expenses or under the cover of anything else. It should have been big and bold in capital letters, like what Trinidad and Tobago just installed in their contract. Royalties non-recoverable. Big and bold. We got leaders telling we got the best contract on earth. We got a lovely contract. These clowns are you marlaying every day. Continue. We are all waiting on the oil president, Vice President Jagdeo, to send out a release or talk to this nation on this royalty issues, like I said just now. But I see them running around the country, spending hours abusing down and cussing down the PNC. And guess what, man? You're not hearing a single word from him on what they're doing. What they're doing for us to get more out of that contract or the oil. Nothing you're hearing. What are all the politicians doing in this country today? Cussing and abusing down each other. Yeah, man, Miss Harris?
That's what they know.
Yes. It's a clear case, Miss Harris, of distraction from what is going on with your oil wealth. This attitude was described nicely by a trainee when he said the politicians in Trinidad were using a soft touch approach when it comes to the oil industry. This is why trainee or Trinidad was shafted not only with the royalty, but they later found out, Miss Harris, that down to the bonus money Trinidad received was snatched back by the oil companies, unknowing to them. Yeah, man. Yes, they found out this lately too. And this brings me to another question. Did ExxonMobil take out the 18 million? That's cranky looking 18 million the pelta tayo back from the expenses yet?
Of course. I bet my last.
Jagdeo is in the best position to tell us that, to answer that question. Do we know and do we hear anything about that? No. Instead, he spent months cussing down the PNC for hiding that from the nation. And you hear a little or nothing from his mouth on this oil industry. A matter of fact, Miss Harris, yes, the only time you hear this man say something is when he's asked questions about the oil, and you guys hear the type of answers he gives, man.
Exactly.
I don't have to repeat that.
Nonsense.
This is the version of Jagdeo, Norton and Ramjatan soft touch approach to the oil companies, that they don't know the basic. If royalty is being taken back. You hear that? I am so ashamed. The head of the AFC, Ramjatan, repeated himself, yes, when he was elected last week, how Guyana get a good oil deal. Hear that? Uncle, that's what you call the soft touch approach that caused Trinidad and many other oil producing countries to be where they are today. Silence makes the oil companies happy and keeps the nation stupid. Every program I keep asking, when last are you hear anything from these leaders of this country about the oil resources? I am begging you people to shoot the questions to them. Please let it be our mantra. Every time I see any one of them anywhere, confront them, man. Ask them questions about what is there for you. The owners of this wealth. Do something. Get up and get out. Get in their faces. Yes. Like that female farmer from Bartica. Yes. When she asked President Ali, tell us something about our oil blocks. Yes. And he get annoyed. Man, the answer he gave, I wanted to know if the woman tell him something about his wife or his mommy or his daddy. That's how we have to have them. Confront them. Shoot the questions to them. And be bold. Watch them in the face and answer them back. They're selling you out, uncle and auntie. They're selling out your future. One single expense the oil company taking out in 2 years is more than half of what Guyana gets for the whole 2 years. Them take out $355 million US. And Guyana gets $607 million for 20 and 21. Then Guyana allow Exxon Mobil to keep the $355 million US to be used 20 years from now for cleanup. While Ali and Jagdeo and Ashley Singh, along with the opposition, yes, taking loans. 190 million for building Bush Road in the interior. And the other day they're going to borrow 100 million more from the CDB for build East Bank Road. What the oil company them broken up every day. This is a good deal, eh? Yes, this is a good deal Guyana get with the oil company Ramjatan, Norton and Jagdeo. Beautiful deal. Indebting this country every day with loans to facilitate the oil companies that is taking back your royalty and signing bonus. This is a lovely place, eh?
Brilliant.
This got to be the best.